No one likes to talk about money. Am I saving enough? Can I buy a house? Am I paying too much in taxes? Will I be able to retire? What if you could unlock insights about your finances in less than 5 minutes with a clear picture of where you stand today and where your money can work harder? Now you can. Visit Facet.com to take the free quiz and get your financial wellness score today. That's FACET.com. This ad is sponsored by Facet. Facet Wealth Incorporated is an SEC registered investment advisor. This is not an offer to buy or sell securities, nor is it investment, legal, or tax advice.
Welcome to the Awakening Women podcast. I'm your host, Leanne Oaten, and for almost a decade, I have been a transformation coach and therapist. This podcast is all about lifting the veil of consciousness and awakening to the truth. It is also about helping you to raise the bar in all areas of your life and relationships by starting with you. If you're ready to take back your personal power and reclaim your life, you have come to the right place. I'm so glad that you're here, so let's get started with today's episode. So you might be thinking, oh, he treats me like shit. He is abusive to me, but he's a really good dad. And I feel really guilty even thinking about breaking up our family because then my son loses out and he'll be sad to lose the access to his kid or kids if I leave. So you carry that guilt with you like a heavy potato sack, a sack of rocks or a sack of boulders or whatever you can envision. It's heavy as fuck because you are left to make that decision for yourself. And you are often pinned the one that is breaking up the family in these relationships because the other person is not seeing that 90% of the problematic stuff in the relationship, if not all of it, really is stemming from their abusive behavior, right? Yes, we all have parts to play in relationship dynamics. Yes, we all can make mistakes. We all can say and do things in a relationship. But overall, when you're experiencing narcissistic abuse, this is not the case. Like, you can't take ownership for their abusive behavior. You take ownership for your own behavior, your own reactions, and your own things that you do and say. Yes, but you're never responsible for what they're doing. And so what I see with women is when they get to this literal 11th hour, they're walking through this dark, really just bleak, grueling path of getting themselves out of the relationship. And every woman I work with, especially this is privately when I get to really go deep with them and I'm in the trenches, so to speak, with them, like literally texting with them, voice messaging them, helping them to keep walking through when everything is telling them not to do it. All the gunk comes up, all the crap is rising to the surface of the shame and the guilt and the feeling the blame. Like, am I doing this? Is this my fault? Is this the right thing? Should I be doing this? Is this a mistake? Like, all the crap will come up and rise to the surface. You cannot be in delusion that you're going to get to a decision to leave and none of that's going to be there. Of course it is. It is what's kept you there all these years. But you get to a threshold point of that's all coming up, but then you have to work through what comes up. And that's when you need a really solid support system. Not people that are going to put more self-doubt, not people that are going to say, are you sure you know what you're doing? Are you sure you should break up this family? You know, it's really selfish what you're doing. Have you tried everything? Have you tried therapy? You know, marriage is hard. Relationships are hard. It's going to be hard out there on your own. All the shit that you're going to be told by people that have no clue what you're experiencing or have lived with, by people that also probably have their own dysfunctional relationships, right? We have to be mindful who we're taking advice from. Relationship advice, you're taking it from your parents, who maybe your mom and dad are still together, but your father is a narcissist, or he's got his own toxic shit, or maybe your mom has her own toxic behaviors and she's telling you just got to stick it out because she's fully entrenched in the codependency herself. Do not take relationship advice from someone who doesn't understand what you're going through, hasn't gone through it, doesn't know what it's like, has no clue. Just don't, because you're going to get all of those types of commentary. And it won't be supportive, right? You need support as you're walking through this, encouragement, someone that's been in the trenches that knows what is coming for you, what's lying ahead. So two things. So one thing I've seen for sure is this really just sickening sense, like almost like throwing up sense of just, you feel sick about having to do this, right? You don't want to break up your family. You don't want it to impact your kids. And you seem to think that this person that is their father is putting them ahead of, and that they're a good father, and that you're breaking up this wonderful family, and it's you, and you're ruining their relationship. You seem to think that they're going to do the right thing, that they're going to continue to try and be a good father, that they're going to show up and do what is in the best interest of the child, even through the divorce process. But what many women experience, if not all women experience, is the exact opposite. They start to see illogical behavior, things that are harming the child, that are not in the best interest of the child, being done from the other side. So it's a rude awakening. And this is not my quote. This is a Lundy Bancroft quote, but this is what struck me, and it stuck with me, is good fathers do not abuse their children's mother. That's it. It's simple. It's true. Right? Good fathers don't abuse their children's mother. So if he is abusing you, whether in hiding or in front of your kid or all of the above, that's abusive to the kid. That is not being a stand-up guy. That's not being a good guy. That's not being a good father. Plain and simple, there's no place to argue that. And so if that's the case, that shows you their character, and it shows you they're not worried about their child, because they're not worried about how they're treating you and how that will impact the child or children. And so you think that we're going to get a divorce and he's going to try and do what's best for the kids because he's all about, my kids come first. My kids come first. But evidence will show otherwise. Believe me, it will all come out about who is number one, and it is not the kids. They don't give a shit about putting their kids above themselves. They never have, and they never will. You'll also notice that, and I'll talk to these women that are like, oh, he's a good father. He's a good father. All right. So who's doing all the work? Who's doing all the kid care? Who's responsible for the kids? Who's there for them? You're there for them. You're doing it all. So they're a good father. Why? Because they come in and play with them for a little bit of time at the end of the day. Like, how are they a good father? Get really crystal clear. How exactly are they being a good father? What do you define as a good father? Because what I can tell you, and this is what sucks, is you're in for a rude awakening on the other side, because they're not going to put the best interest of the kids first. In no way will they do it. It will baffle you because they'll tell you in words, my kids come first. But then they won't pay child support. They won't financially support the kid. They'll try and screw you out of financial support that you're entitled to. They will, not do simple things that are for the kids' well-being, like pick up a prescription that's for them, or, get them things that they need. It'll be left to you to do. So is that a good father? Let's really define what a good father is. So that's one thing that I see. The other is this overwhelming feeling like, am I doing the right thing by doing this? As you're leaving and you're like, hey, I got to have this conversation. I'm telling him I've got a new house. I'm telling him I'm moving. I'm telling him I'm getting out of this house. We're done. This just overwhelming sick feeling will come about you many, many, many times over. But when you're truly ready to move through it, that will be there, and you might need some reassurance from key people that, no, you're doing the right thing. Yes, this is normal. This is all the crap coming up that needs to be released for you to move through this. You're still going to have those doubts, but it doesn't mean that you're doing the wrong thing. In fact, to the degree that you feel sick about what you're doing is the degree to how bad it really is. That's how I see it. So you have to have the right support system to help you walk through this, because it is going to be brutal. And even just getting out is the first step, but what's waiting for you on the other side, the aftermath, the aftershocks, the trauma shock that happens when you've left, you won't maybe recognize yourself. You will hit another wall. It will be traumatic. You will go through a whole other wave of difficulty on the other side. But it makes way for the healing. It makes way for truly being able to change your life on the other side, but it doesn't happen right away. You need a support system, a key, strong support network of people, a professional that understands, that has been through it, that's walked through it, a support system that can support you in the way you need, that's going to help you keep moving forward, not go into self-doubt and panic and go, oh, maybe I'm not doing the right thing, saving myself, like getting to safety. People that are trying to talk you into staying in an unsafe situation, those are not your supporters, and I don't care if it's mom or dad or your sister or your bestie. If they're encouraging you to stay in something that is slowly killing you, you do not want to go to them for advice or support. Plain and simple. So if that's where you're at, I have some limited spaces for my 8-week intensive for women that are at this stage where you are just on the cusp of leaving, or you are already left, but you're trying to recover from the aftermath of that, and you just need some support to get you over that hump. I have a couple of spaces for 8 weeks. My 3 months are full, so I have a couple of spaces for bi-weekly over 8 weeks. That includes Voxer textings, and this is where women love it because they have a touch point. They're texting me through their court proceedings. They're texting me as they're leaving. They're texting me as they're making steps to leave, and I'm able to get back to them that same day and help them keep moving forward. And that is what you need, is just those touch points. So the 8-week is bi-weekly sessions. So I only have a couple of those spots open at this time. So all you have to do to apply for one of those is head to the link in the show notes and go through that process. And then you just select which program you're applying for, which would be the 8-week. And then we meet and have a chat to see if that's a good fit, if we're a good fit. And if it is, then we will take it from there. But the big thing here is, and again, this goes back to my experience of 6 years working with women in these relationships. Time and time again, they are looking to the wrong people for support that are like, that crabs in the bucket analogy, like you're trying to break free and all the crabs in the bucket are trying to pull you back down. That's so true. It is exactly what happens. Whether others in your life are trying to do that or not, it's conscious or unconscious, it doesn't matter if they mean well or not. It doesn't matter if it's your mom and you love her dearly and she's wonderful. If they're not giving you the type of support you need that's helping you feel empowered to keep moving, they're not your supporters. And in this time frame, when you're trying to get out, you need to move those to the back row. Doesn't mean you have to get rid of them altogether, but you need to cocoon and really hone in on the support system that you need. So they may have to take a back row while you get the support you need to get the fuck out. That's really what it comes down to. In fact, that's what my 8 weeks should be called. Get the fuck out intensive. Because it is intense. And if you don't have the right support network, it is going to be so difficult. Doesn't mean you won't be able to do it, but it will be much less traumatic if you have the right support and you know what to expect. So that is what I want to share with you in this episode. It came from this week, my one-to-one clients, and just seeing the particular struggles that they are having and maybe you're experiencing as well. And I told one of them I'd do a podcast on this specific topic of, that 11th hour freaking out, like, am I doing the right thing? So I know all women experience this. I have not met one woman that's not had that. So if that's you, it's normal. If you're ready for some support, then go to the link in the show notes to get that going. All right, take good care. Bye for now. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the Awakening Women podcast. If you love this show and it has served you and helped you on your journey, please take a moment right now and leave a rating and review in iTunes and Spotify. If you'd like more daily content, videos, and inspiration, come on over and join me at Awakening Women Support Official over on Instagram, where we can connect and you can continue your transformation and growth journey. And I'll see you online. Take care.
No one likes to talk about money, but everyone wonders if they're doing the right things with their money. Am I saving enough? Can I buy a house? Am I paying too much in taxes? Will I be able to retire? There's no easy way to understand how you're doing. Not knowing is limiting your potential. What if you could unlock insights about your finances in less than 5 minutes with a clear picture of where you stand today and where your money can work harder? Now you can with a free financial wellness score from Facet.com. This isn't a boring retirement calculator. It's a simple way to know if your finances support the life you want to live. Haven't you waited long enough? Take the first step toward reducing your stress about money and reaching your full potential. Visit Facet.com to take the free quiz and get your financial wellness score today. That's Facet.com. This ad is sponsored by Facet. Facet Wealth Incorporated is an SEC-registered investment advisor. This is not an offer to buy or sell securities, nor is it investment, legal, or tax advice.